Sets in Python. Set is the another kind of collection that we are going to study about in Python. Let us start by understanding what is a set. A set is an unordered collection of unique and immutable objects. By unique, unordered and immutable, we mean that, have a look at the sets shown on the screen. Sets in Python look like this. So all the elements inside the set that we have taken, there are some elements inside it. They are unordered, means they are not placed in any order, and all of them are unique and immutable, means they cannot be changed. The pictorial representations will help us better understand what does the words unordered, unique and immutable means. So suppose we take two different sets. In the first set we are going to store 4 elements. Those are similar to each other. Let's say we have stored 4 apples inside it, and in the next set we have stored 4 different objects that are not similar to each other. There are 4 different objects in there, right? So in Python, the first set won't be considered as a set, whereas the second one will be considered as a legit set. And by unordered we mean that, so if you have taken a set and you have stored some numbers inside it, when Python processes it, and it will create a set of its own, but the elements inside the set won't be stored in the sequence in which you had stored it. They will be stored randomly in unordered form. So this is where the definition of the set comes from. A set can be considered as an unordered collection of unique and immutable objects. Let us understand the syntax for creating a set. So the syntax for creating a set uses a function which is known as the set function, and this is how it is used. So we have taken a variable and we are going to store in the set inside it with the elements, right? So the syntax for using the set function is, it says the keyword is set, after that braces, inside the braces you have to store the elements in the form of a list, so it will get converted into a set. When you execute the program shown in the example, the output that you are going to get will be something like this. So in the set, the input, we had stored the elements in the form A, B, C and D, right? But the output came as C, A, B, D, or it may change. It will randomly change whenever you try to get the output. One kind of set in Python is immutable sets. Immutable set means the item or the elements inside the sets cannot be muted, right? If sets are implemented in such a way that it does not allow mutable objects within itself. And this following example is going to help you better understand, and it will demonstrate we cannot include lists as an element because lists are mutable, right? So here we have taken tuples inside the set. We have taken tuples to create the set. If we had taken list, then it won't be created because it does not allow mutable objects. Since a tuple is immutable, so a set allows it, right? So we have taken the variable country, and using the set function we have created a set. So the elements inside the set are in the form of tuples. There are two tuples we have taken. The first one contains A, B and C, and the second one contains X, Y and Z, right? So in the next we have asked the interpreter to print the value of variable country. So the output that we are going to get will also be in the form of tuples, right? So the curly braces denote a set. A set is stored using the curly braces, and all the elements inside it, there are 2 elements which are stored inside in the form of tuples. Another kind of set is known as frozen set. The difference between frozen set and set is that though the objects of a set are immutable, the set as a whole is mutable. But frozen sets are the sets which are not mutable as a whole also, which means that neither can we manipulate the elements of the frozen set, nor can we manipulate the frozen set as a whole. Let's have a look at the example. So in order to create a frozen set, the keyword or the function that we require is frozen set. After that, braces. Inside the braces we can take a list, because a list is mutable, but a frozen set as a whole is immutable. So even if you take a list, it won't be mutable, right? So inside the braces we have taken a list, and we have stored 2 tuples inside it. Tuples are immutable, so it will suit better with the frozen set. Now in the next line, using the add function, we have tried to add another tuple to it to see what happens if we try to add a tuple. Though the frozen set is immutable, let's see what happens when we try to add a tuple to it, right? So the way to use the add function is this: country.add. After that, inside the braces, we have stored a tuple with 2 elements, right? So when we execute this program, the output that we'll get will be attribute error, frozen set object has no attribute add, right? Because frozen set is totally immutable. It is immutable as a whole. So even if you try to mute it with an immutable object such as a tuple, it won't get muted.